Hello, everybody. It's Friday again. What do you know? How was your Thanksgiving? This is Moohead Radio, in case you don't know what you're watching. And it is a Friday pregame analysis show. I'm your host, Mr. Moohead. Joining me from England is Bronk. I wanted to share something to begin the program, and I'll mention it again later in the program. There has been a glitch for a lot of people wanting to be on the panel that we were getting a lot of echoing. Well, it wasn't Tony the Calf's fault. It wasn't Hammer Time's fault. It was a problem in the way that StreamYard, who's my third-party carrier, works with an update of Chrome and Android. And they finally gotten it fixed. So anybody who wants to be on the panel, feel free. You're not going to get that echoing sound, I hope. Joe, you have to believe me when I say that anybody who's a part of the show, a lot of people piss me off. But the fact is, you become a member of the Moohead family, which is something you have to live with for the rest of your life. It's not my problem. So there's that. We have created a new thing, which is called a moment. Okay. I'm not sure which face people like more, the or the
Joe Banner. I think the is my favorite, but your Joe Banner is so accurate. It's just uncanny. It's almost spooky.
Yeah, it is. And it's good. The nose, it's the glasses, and it's the saying nothing. And the how would you feel if you were post game after losing a game by 35 points and you proudly say to the press, I am not worried about my job status as the coach of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Ron Rivera says that, and no more than hours later, it's like, Jack Del Rio, your defensive coordinator, has been fired. Yeah. Suddenly becomes a reality, Well,
you know what I always say about Ron Rivera? He's the cancer on that team. So,
well, it goes deeper than that. My God, that's a troubled organization, and we know all about
troubled organization.
Exactly. Now the Commanders just put on a shit show, and Del Rio gets fired. But that's after they got rid of Chase Young and got rid of somebody else. They got rid of two of their best defensive players.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, by the way, you're fired. I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes nobody want the job.
It makes no sense. It's like the Chewbacca defense. You get rid of your best players and then you suck, and then you fire the coach. It's
the defensive coordinator, and Ron Rivera is like, I mean, at the end of the year, he's going to get tossed. Got new ownership, and they've got to make their own lousy decisions, whatever it is they're going to do. But I thought that fully illustrated what the National Football League is all about. It's like, who gets blamed for what when? And it's just a matter of time. The wagons are circling around Ron Rivera. And it's not like Ron Rivera knows the offensive side of a football to save his soul. But, he's got to the end of the year and he's going to get shit canned. The next thing I always like to do on Fridays is to explain to people, hey, I don't know where you're watching this show from. I don't know what your situation is. But I have the map in front of me where the Browns game is going to be shown on Fox Television. Now, it's the 4:05 game on Sunday. And it is going to be very easy for a lot of people to see this game. For example, if you're in Seattle, if you're in Portland, Eugene, and Oregon, you got it covered. All right. If you're in Sacramento, San Francisco, Reno, you got it made. But if you start getting into LA, you're not going to get that game, right? But if you're in Salt Lake City and listening to an Ethel Mormon record, you can see the game.
The Mormon.
It's way out of left field. It's
How would that
Friday.
be?
Leave me
How would that
alone.
be? God bless Brigham Young. God bless him now.
I'm a Latter-day Saint. If you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, or Denver, Colorado, of course, you're going to see the game.
Thoughts and prayers for you if you are.
And there are some states that I can't even identify on the map.
Yeah, no one knows who they are either. They just fly over them.
And if you're in Amarillo by morning, then you're going to catch it. But the rest, and if you're in Houston, you're going to catch it. But if you're in the rest of Texas, you're not going to see it.
24 hours from Tulsa. Is that okay?
If you're what?
24 hours from Tulsa.
Okay? Yeah, exactly. Now, I'll keep going if I haven't hit your area yet, because you're going to see this game. If you're in Green Bay freezing your ass off, then bingo, you're going to be able to watch the game, because in Madison, also Wisconsin, but not in Milwaukee. All right.
Wow.
You'll have to drink the beer, but not see the game. In Michigan, if you're in Grand Rapids, if you're in Flint, like I was for 9.5 years, or if you're in Detroit, you will see the game. Throughout Indiana, Fort Wayne and Indianapolis, you're going to see the game. Of course, in Ohio, Toledo, Cleveland, Dayton, Columbus, and Cincinnati, all on board. Charleston, West Virginia, you can see the game. If you're in Pittsburgh, you can see the game as well. And little pieces of the country, including Baltimore, Joe Shipley.
Wow.
You can see that game if you want to. Jacksonville, Florida will see the game. And down here in Tampa and, so in Fort Myers. So that's a list of the major markets that will be seeing this game. So there's no excuse that you can get on a plane and fly to one of these places, or you can actually, you can actually end up, living there. It could be just perfect for you. So Rocky Bull says, I'm a huge Denver Broncos fan all of a sudden.
Yeah, he hates us.
Yeah, we'll be talking about all of this.
He hates us and we don't care.
Ron Leffman is in Holland, Michigan. Yes, that's right, Ron. So for some people they wait until the last minute, and so I like to be able to bring the map up and
it's not the Sky game though. If you're in England, you have to have League Pass to watch this one. It's not on Sky. The game, the Philadelphia and whoever the bigger game is that one. And the other game they chose is Jacksonville and Houston, which if you had told me 2 months ago that would be the prime game on Thanksgiving weekend, that's for the
America's game of the week. No, this is Britain's game of the week.
It's Britain's game of the week, Jacksonville and Houston. That's the Sky game.
Now, to be more specific about what's going on, I do have worries and concerns about the Broncos because they've won they've won 4 in a row. All right. Yeah. But here's a statistical rundown, just so you can get an idea. The Broncos offense has 177 first downs on the season. They've given up 219.
Yeah.
All right. First downs, rushing 59, given up 78. You're going to see a pattern here. First downs by passing, 94 for them, but they've given up 119. Right? Third down conversions, they're very even with their competition. 47 versus an average of giving up 44 out of 114, and then they've gotten 47 out of 123. Right? They've only gone for it 8 times on fourth down, made it half the time. Their opponents have gone for it 19 times and gotten it 10. That's about the same statistical thing. Total offensive yards, they've been outgained by 1,000 yards. All right.
Yep.
The number of plays, they've had 576 versus 634 of their opponents. They've had 247 rushing plays versus 292. And their total passing yards at 2,065, they've given up 2,401. All right. So it's really an interesting thing because they've thrown for 19 touchdowns and given up 18 thrown touchdowns, and that's their strength. The number that you keep seeing being bandied around is 19 touchdowns and 4 picks. That's
Russell Wilson.
I mean, that's he's had a good year, but the team hasn't converted it into touchdowns. What it amounts to, it's like playing Geno Smith. There's a lot of yardage in between, but getting it in the end zone seems to be a challenge.
You know what I call that? The bend but not score offense. A bit like the bend defense. Bend but not score.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a mystery because you can't really get all over Russell Wilson, but at the same time, maybe there's two things that are factual about this game. One is that they don't have the greatest ranked defense in the league. That's for damn sure, the Broncos.
No, good.
And of course, we have the number one defense, right? But they don't turn the ball over. They don't do that. I mean, Russell Wilson has been extremely safe with the ball. They don't score a ton of points. Now, if they don't score a lot of touchdowns and our defense keeps them out of the end zone, then we're going to be in the game. But here's the other possibility, and what we really need to see happen is a little bit of growth from DTR in the offense. And I know it's asking for a lot from DTR. It's probably asking more from the offense because there has been no proclivity for them to establish anything down the field since the season began. Yeah. And Kevin Stefanski's theory is he's going to continue playing it close to the vest, and he'll end up where the Steelers end up for doing that. The hope for the Cleveland Browns this week, in my estimation, they have to put more points on the board, and they have to do it with 7s and not 3s. Yeah. If you're exchanging field goals, it's going to be troublesome. And as far as DTR is concerned, he's got to complete better than 55% of passes thrown because opponents, again, if you have completed 230 out of 323 passes against them, I mean,
okay, well, that leads on to what I'm worried about. Okay, they're playing in Denver, Mile High. We all know this bullshit. Is that enough of an altitude change to affect the timing on DTR and these spot passes that Stefanski insists on calling every other play? I mean, if it's lighter air and he's zipping the ball, are we going to be out of sync with the wide receivers?
Well, here's the deal with that. I don't think that the air is not going to be what makes it difficult for him. It's his own composure and trying to get more touch on passes. And the Browns have to show some willingness to get people down the field a little bit further. And it's going to be a challenge because this team is challenged. And, I love these people, I was the only one who predicted the Browns beating the 49ers. Yeah. That's because of fear, Joe Shipley, fear. You're ruled by fear. Unlike Mike Tomlin, who lives in his fears now. You're maybe not that bad, but fear. Yeah, you hear us breathing behind you.
Well, the thing is, Bajorquez and Anthony Hopkins, our actor kicker, should have great games.
Well, we hope like that we're in there for 7. Yeah, and he's kicking 1s, not 3s.
Well, he can do that.
And you know something, Crembley? It's a results world, and it's hard to believe that like politicians will have positive reviews from voters when they're totally fucking the economy up, or they're totally, whether it's Joe Biden fumbling around like a fool and inflation going through the roof, or you got the madman from Alcatraz saying, not only am I going to build a wall, I am going to have the Mexicans pay for it, and nobody and it's like nobody says anything, you know?
Yeah.
But the whole Kevin Stefanski thing is you're only as good as the last thing you did. And we lose to the Broncos, don't put points on the board, then it's going to be, well, you got to play Joe Flacco now. You got to do that now. It's enough for DTR, you know, and without really ever delving into the fact that it's the offensive scheme that's limiting the team, and whoever's running it is still going to have the same problems as the people before them.
Yeah,
And
I just hope we win, just so we avoid all these Mary Kay and Tony Pluto stupid headlines that would inevitably happen if we lose to Denver, particularly if we lose badly. They're so predictable, as you just did.
And Krembley, what I say to people who say this about Stefanski, that it should be, you know, in the running for Coach of the Year, I say, fine. Coach of the Year. Not offensive coordinator of the year, coach of the year. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with him coaching the Cleveland Browns if he just lets go of the offense and does what the Steelers, well, eventually will do, and you know, and get somebody in there who knows what the fuck they're doing. And he could prove to me that he could be the coach of the year if he proved he was man enough to hand that responsibility over instead of being so goddamn insecure about it. So there's a way that he can convince me he's coach of the year, and it's not by a 7-3 record after 10 games. Okay. I'm not myopic. I don't, you know, it's like I have a bigger, you know, way of looking at things, and I would much rather think that he could abandon the play calling and abandon the offensive side to be a true coach. Correct. And here comes Joe in here. Here's the fearful one. Joe, are you quaking?
How you doing, Mued? How you doing, big dog?
Doing good.
Well, look, listen, and I mean this from my heart. Who was the coach when Baker Mayfield set the rookie record for touchdowns? A defensive head coach, Greg Williams. If y'all fumble Jim Schwartz and that is not your next head coach, that's why you guys are the Browns. That's why you're the Browns, because you don't hire look what he's done with the defense. In 1 year, it's the best defense in the league. Maybe you're making that coach, the team will be the best in the league. I'm not trying to get worked up, but I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, Jim Schwartz should be the next coach of that fucking team. Period.
Well, I understand that you believe that. Thing is, he has a record as a head coach, and it's not nearly.
Well, a lot of other. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Yeah, but it doesn't compare to his accomplishments defensively. He's a defensive coordinator, and you know, I'm sure you'd like to see that because that would make sure that our offense would continue to trudge.
Mr. Muhead, let me cut you off. Let me cut you off, big dog. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the game in the end of 2018 when the Browns had to beat the Ravens to knock us out of the playoffs and Baker threw that interception to C.J. Mosley? I remember sitting with my dad and saying, Dad, we got trouble. We got a good quarterback, and they're going to hire Greg Williams to be their coach. Well, no, your dumbasses fire Greg Williams and hire Freddie Kitchens. You got just, you know what I mean? Jim Schwartz. If he's not the next coach of the Browns, then you guys are just going to retread water all forever.
Well, Greg Williams was mentally unstable, all right, because you never had to live with him.
You got to be unstable to coach football players.
Not to that degree. Not to that degree. No, not like Rex.
All right, fair enough.
You know, we got some goofy people out there with defensive coordinators with foot fetishes and all this kind of weird shit. And no, it doesn't require that. Jim Schwartz is very focused, and his specialty is defense. We have a situation where we have such good defensive players, and we're proving that we have some depth on our line and with our linebackers, and even we're going to have to find more secondary men because Denzel Ward is not playing. Because of a shoulder injury, which is still unidentified.
Ronnie Stanley got his shoulder. Yeah. Remember Ronnie Stanley? Yeah, I know. I'm fucking with you, but RonnieStanley took his shoulder out.
Yeah, he's
on a dirty play. I'll admit it was a dirty play. It was a dirty play.
Yeah, but that's the way AFC North football is played.
Damn right it is.
And, Double P is right. Greg Williams was crazy in the gamble of the blitz, and he was goofy, and he was a bounty hunter. I mean, I would not compare him. None of our defenses with Greg Williams was anywhere near what we have right now. But we have really legitimately good players being coached properly. What I would say about the offense is it's kind of hard to evaluate wide receivers when they're just being asked to block and they're not going out into the pattern. And
so I would know a lot about that. You're right. I would know about it. That's all we ask our receivers to do is block, basically. But go ahead. Sorry about that.
So Andrews ends up your main man. And that's what's happening to us. Njoku, we have Amari Cooper, you have Tay Flowers, but anybody else, it's like, they're being asked, basically, you're asking wide receivers to become tight ends. And so one way or another, whether he has the tight ends on the field or he has, Cedric Tillman on the field, he's still running a 1-3 set with 3 tight ends in essence. And that's, the shell game that Kevin Stefanski plays as far as offense is concerned. He doesn't know anything but that.
And the thing is, it doesn't fool anybody. All the defenses.
Who is the Browns offensive coordinator? Who's y'all's offensive coordinator? Oh, he's your coach and the coordinator. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
You know what's amazing about this? They have Alex Van Pelt, who they call the offensive coordinator. Yes. He does not call the plays. He didn't design the plays. Yep. And now they have Joe Flacco in to cozy up to a young rookie quarterback to try to get his head together. I don't know what Alex Van Pelt does. Maybe he just vacuums up the clubhouse afterwards and keeps things nice and shiny clean. I have no idea. But the reality of it is that Kevin Stefanski is the de facto offensive coordinator. And
look, even if Flacco never plays a game, even if Flacco doesn't play for y'all, it's still good to have a veteran presence in the quarterback room. You got to have a veteran presence.
Yeah, and I think he has more up here right now than he has in the rest of his body. All right. Joe Flacco,
let me tell you one thing real quick, Moo. Me and my dad, we met Flacco. We knew a realtor that sold Flacco his house. And I swear to God, the realtor's name was Dave. Oh, my phone's dying. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, my God. I'm agreeing with Wiley Fox.
And that's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
The owner seems to find a way to, fuck up a wet dream. That's
there are 2 things that Wiley Fox and I totally agree on. It's that comment and also our hatred for Rick Manning and Underwood.
And Muslims.
I can't say that.
I know. I'm just throwing that in there. What's amazing is watching these goddamn Republicans now talking sympathetically about the same goddamn people that just a few years ago, you want to talk about flip-flopping.
Ban them out of the country. And
yeah. It was like, we're
not going to let you in.
We're going to build a wall around the world. We're going to make sure that those slimy Muslims can never get over that wall. And they'll have to swim across the ocean to get to us. And now all of a sudden, those poor people. Oh, I mean, you blew up a hospital because you think that Hamas is down there, and I feel badly for these. It's like, what happened to the World Trade Center? Fuck yourselves, okay? Fuck yourselves. You pick one side or the other in the Middle East, you come up a loser.
Yeah, you kind of.
I mean, it's just fucked up there. It's just fucked up there, man. All right. But with Denzel Ward down, it's going to be up to Mike Ford, and he better have a better idea out there because I'm not going to disagree with you, Wiley. I can tell you all kinds of things the Democrats flip-flop on too. Well, it's
slightly off topic, but I'd like to point out that Australia in the World Cup for football, they're in a group with Lebanon, Bangladesh, and Palestine. Now you can go, yeah. How fucked up is that?
Well, if they were a football franchise, they'd be running a bomb on every play. As far as the Democrats are concerned, doing a swell job for 3 years. The Democrats, they flip flop on all kinds of stuff as well, and it's to me it's funny.
It's all a corporate shell game. We know this.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really to get excited about. Yeah. But with Denzel Ward out, there, and their passing game being a high completion thing, they're going to be testing Mike Ford out there. It's going to be hard for our team without its best island defender. And so as far as they're concerned, they're hoping for some big plays because of miscommunications. And that's how they're going to want to put up their sevens. Let's go back to Joe here. You back with us, Joe?
Yeah, when Flacco signed his contract after the Super Bowl, this realtor, Dave Desser, that I know, he's like, I sold Joe Flacco his house. I met Joe Flacco. He took a picture with his house. He's a very nice guy. But this guy, Dave Desser, was like, when I told him, like, we're all going to meet up at the house, like, you drive with them and, I'll drive and then we'll all meet up. And he said Flacco just looked at him with an open mouth. Like, he's like, he's the dumbest guy I've ever fucking met. So there's your backup quarterback. He's a fucking moron. So what are you going to do about it, Mel? I'm sorry. I'm drunk as fuck. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was your quarterback for a long time. So
hey, what is this Super Bowl? That idiot. Yo, here's one thing I will say about John Harbaugh. He's a good coach. Not a great coach, good coach. But when he won his Super Bowl, he had Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Hall of Famers.
Right.
I could have probably coached that team, Moo. I could have fucking, Yeah. But one thing I will say, last thing, I'm buzzing. Let me say one more thing, Moo. I'm sorry. I know you're about to talk. I even tell my dad this. When your team loses, you show respect. You don't make excuses like, oh, we lost because of this, we lost because of that. You say we lost because we fucking lost the goddamn game. And that's what I respect about you. I always will.
To me, a bad call is a bad call. And when it goes to against one team or another, we had a game earlier this season where two calls that were very questionable got us into the end zone for a winning touchdown. And I don't mince words because the NFL is, I don't know, it's gambling infested at this point, All
right, can I say one more thing real quick?
Yeah.
I remember telling my dad, like, when you all beat the Colts, I was like, I'm going to go on Mr. Moose. Watch how happy he's going to be that they finally pulled that game out at the very end. I come on the channel, and Mr. Moose like, that was a bad call. We should have lost the game. I'm like, God damn, Moo, be happy for once in your life.
And that's what a lot of people said. But, I mean, the bottom line is that there's no consistency in what they're calling. And there's Matthew Cox.
Fair enough.
Yep. And you know what Joe says? He has a big banner up, says, I love Cox. All right. Durango, Colorado.
How'd you know, Moo? How'd you know that, Moo? You must have been over here before. So, but you know what? Nowadays, if it's 3rd and 14, just throw the ball up. More than likely, you get a penalty. That's the way football is now. Just throw the fucking ball up. More than likely, you get a fucking flag.
Yeah, looks like Bronk got booted again. I don't know why he's getting booted out. Well, okay. All right, you're back, Bronk.
That's just something that happens from time to time here for no reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, it's not under my control. But yeah, Durango, Colorado, you're going to get that game, and you're going to be watching your team play, whether it's Cleveland or Denver. You're going to be watching one of them. And chances are you'll be watching both of them at the same time.
Wow.
This is the headline that's kind of bothering me a little bit. Notion of what does Dorian Thompson-Robinson have to do to keep Joe Flacco on the bench? Now,
who wrote that shit?
Yeah, I hate that shit too. And of course, it's Mary Kay Cabbagehead. And
Cabbagehead.
Anyone who knows, I mean, it's like yellow journalism and it's pathetic. The fact of the matter is, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is being asked to do one thing in essence. Know the playbook inside out. And
don't turn the ball over.
Right. That's the big one. Don't turn it over. And get rid of the ball quick. If your second reads are not open, throw it out of bounds, but don't make mistakes. Don't hold on to the ball too long. That kind of stuff. And that's not the stuff of which, 31-point games are made. And the truth is that the way our offensive line is in and out, we have hurt people, we have replacements. The pocket isn't always secure. DTR is a lot more mobile than Joe Flacco, who's a statue. I mean,
well, Flacco has an arm though. Flacco has the arm, so I mean, it kind of negates itself.
Yeah, but if he's throwing off his back,
all right. Let me ask you a question real quick, Moo. If the Browns go 1-1 in the next 2 games, we give Flacco 2 weeks to learn the offense. While they're ain't the Browns playing in LA in 2 weeks? They're playing in LA, so they're going to stay on the West Coast. I heard.
Yes.
I heard.
Yep.
So in 2 weeks, if DTR goes 1-1 and he's not doing shit with the ball, would you rather have Flacco starting with this defense or DTR? Come on, you rather have Flacco because Flacco has the wherewithal to make a play. Not that DTR don't, but he's just too young. Flacco could see a wide open guy and throw it, and hit him. DTR is going to be scrambling.
Here's what I don't understand about this, and it's not just what you're saying, Joe, but what I'm reading on social media is why would people think that Joe Flacco, who's pretty much been sitting on his rump for the past 3 years, hasn't had any reps whatsoever. He's been less active than Deshaun Watson, and we saw what the rust did to Deshaun Watson. Okay.
Well, hold on, Moo, not to cut you off, but he's not had reps in a live game. But it's not like he hasn't been working out for the last. He's been working out. He's in shape.
Don't give me that shit. Don't give me that shit. Real speed football is a different.
Fair enough. But don't act like you ain't throw a ball.
Working out for 8 years, so
Joe Flacco. I have nothing against Joe Flacco, but if you take a look at those last 3 years that he was playing, he was throwing a hunk of interceptions, and he was thoroughly immobile, and he will not be escapable to anybody who gets around a second or third string.
Here's the difference, though, Moo. Joe Flacco wasn't playing with a number 1 defense when he played with the Jets. Now, you put a guy like Joe Flacco with the number 1 defense in the league, you're kidding me if you don't think he can win games. You're kidding me. With that defense?
If you throw interceptions and take sacks, that best defense is going to cave in eventually. What you need is whoever it is that can drive the football, eat up clock, and not make mistakes.
Well, last time I checked, the Jets didn't have Amari Cooper or no Njoku, because Njoku's a little beast. He is a beast.
Yeah, tough guy. And when he catches the ball, because he does have a little bit of problems when he catches with his hands, and we've noted that for many years now. So I guess the way I look at this is it's stupid asking DTR. It's like, what do you have to do to stay on the field? It's like, the ball is in your hands, and nobody asked that of Lou Gehrig, okay? Yeah. Lou Gehrig went out on the field, and and Wally Pipp ended up playing with his dick because he was never going to play again, right?
Wally Pipp, Bobby Brister.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it goes. You have the ball in your hands. What DTR needs to do is to have a solid game where he's able to push the ball down the field like he did on the final drive in our last game.
Build confidence. Right.
And then there will be no discussion about Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco can help educate the young man and help speed him along. Because, right now, if you have to put Joe Flacco on the field because you're thinking, wow, that's going to be the only way we can remain competitive, you're putting a 38-year-old man who hasn't done shit in 3 years.
May I say something real quick, Moo? May I say something real quick? I'm not saying you got to put, but say DTR loses to the Broncos this week, and I don't know who you all play after that, but say he goes 0-2 in the next 2 weeks, and Flacco's practicing. You wouldn't put Flacco in there? If DTR goes 0-2 in the next 2 weeks, and now you're 7-5, right now you're in the wild card. Right now you're in the playoffs. If DTR goes 0-2, you're not putting Flacco in there with that defense? Come on, bro.
Well, that's like, all right, so if Lamar Jackson breaks his leg and he's gone, I mean,
if Lamar Jackson broke his legs, broke his fucking arms, broke his whole body, he's in a full body cast, I would take Joe Flacco over DTR, yes, if that's your question.
No. Would you take Joe Flacco over Huntley?
No, I wouldn't. We don't have your defense. Your defense is number 1 in the league. You're talking about a number 1 defense. You don't need a goddamn Joe Montana All she needs is Trent Dilfer. Don't. I love you, Bill. Sorry about that.
All right.
Woo!
Boo.
I'm serious. You guys got a really great team. You guys got a really good team.
Yeah, well, but so far, I mean, look, 10 games into the season, we're way beyond what we thought we would be. Anything is possible. I don't want Joe Flacco on the field unless it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And I mean,
DTR
anything can happen.
right.
I mean, DTR could get
That's
hurt.
fair. I mean, that's fair.
He's a slight guy. DTR, you don't want him taking too much contact.
Well, what if a sack? What if Flacco sees the other teams about the blitz? Like we see that. DTR won't see that. Flacco can all the way because he knows he's a veteran. He's a as a veteran with that defense y'all have, I could play fucking quarterback for the Browns and probably win a playoff game with that defense y'all have.
Have you heard Joe Flacco trying to do the fast count to get somebody to jump offside?
I don't think Joe Flacco can add 2 + 2.
It's like 45. I mean, the guy is so slow, he could be scrambling out of the pocket and the pigeon would be able to hit his shoulder every time. I mean, come on.
Nigga got birds landing on him in the middle of a football game. He's a fucking scarecrow. All right, Moo. Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. So, what DTR needs to do is to go out and be efficient. He needs to get 3.3 yards per completion. Isn't going to get it done. You need a little bit more than that. You're going to need 8-9 yards, and passes that will get the ball down the field 12 to 15 yards, and keep the team off balance with the running game. And it's not easy playing in Denver. That we do know. And we know the ball will carry there, and their kicker is a lot more familiar with that circumstance. It's going to be 40 degrees and sunshine in Denver. So it's going to get colder once game time starts,
I'm cold.
Yeah, well, the ball may not travel as far as that.
You made a good point, Lou. Whatever you just said, you made a good point. God damn it. I was thinking about it. You said something that was not the turnovers, play smart. It was something like that, but I'm sorry. I forgot what you were going to say. Damn it. I was going to make a good point about it.
Well, you
really do make good points, Moo. I'll give you credit. You make good points about football.
Yeah, and I don't really care about what Dorian Thompson-Robinson has to do is win. He has to put the team in the best chance to win.
Yeah,
that's what he does. And
what if the Browns are down 13-10? They're down a field goal, and you guys start on the fucking 7-yard line. Is Dorian Thompson going to take you down the field, or is Joe Flacco? I'd take Flacco, to be honest. I really would. I really would.
All right, let's move on because we have somebody who wants to get in here. Alpha Manus Man.
Alpha Man Iceman, I would say.
That's a name right there. That's a name.
Oh, Alpha
Man Iceman.
Oh, okay.
Alpha.
Yeah, just go to the show description on YouTube and you'll see a link there, and that link will click you right into the studio.
If you
and
don't know what the show description is, you're not bright enough to be on the panel. So
no, the description is
the name of the show is below it. It will have a little show description, and in the show description, it will have a link.
Even I found the description. I'm from Baltimore.
And he's inebriated on top of that. So, so if he can do it, anybody.
You ain't lying, Moo. You ain't lying.
All right, I got to run now, Joe.
See you, buddy. Love you, Moo.
All righty.
Love you.
Good hearing from Joe. He's always a piece of work. And then these headlines, can the Browns reach the Super Bowl? And I stop right there. It's like the Super Bowl, it's like, don't.
It's fucking February.
It was like people said, do you think that the Cavaliers could win a championship with LeBron before it happened? And, it's like, just get me to the NBA Finals. I'll answer that question when we get there, because the playoffs is a nice thing, but it's really not, right now, the Browns are not a Super Bowl worthy team because they're half a team. Yeah. They don't have what is necessary to have offensively. But I will say this: if they by some fluke manage to get into the Super Bowl, in any one game, that defense can wreak absolute havoc. Yeah. So, and with turnovers, all kinds of things can happen. So that's what that is. But I hate that question. Super Bowl is so damn, it's premature.
It's 3 months away. It's crazy.
And, and again, we're staying on the West Coast so that we're not going back and forth across the country. So we got 2 games coming up, and the Rams are not a great team. And I don't think anyone would suggest that the Broncos are a great team, but they're on a good roll. And the Browns have had more than their fair share of difficulties playing in Denver over the course of their tinged history.
Well, and the Rams game should be like a home game. There should be a lot of Browns fans there, because certainly LA fans, they have better things to do, like surfing and.
What has happened with the Rams? What am I missing here? Because I don't pay attention to that.
I think they've just gotten older. They've not replaced the parts that they had, and they're the magic of Sean McVay is kind of worn off, and so they're a mediocre team now.
Yeah, I mean, we're 1-5 against the Broncos since 2000. So this is tough. They're all tough at this point. Yeah. The last couple of weeks have been tough. Nothing's going to come easy, but each week that we pass the test, we gain confidence, and our players believe a little bit more in what they're doing. I can only hope that we see some growth from the offense, and that's really up for question. So, and Matthew Stafford, Rick, hope you're doing well in Bellevue, not the hospital, but in the town. Quarterbacks who go to the Super Bowl, quarterbacks who win the Super Bowl is something that they can tell their grandkids about if they're still alive, and they will be remembered and forever in the record books. And but anybody can have a big game at any time. And if you don't believe that, just watch what happened to the Cavaliers trying to play the Celtics and watching Kyle Lowry shit all over him. And the guy's 38 years old and he scored 28 points. So, look, anybody can catch fire if they have it in them.
That Cavaliers Heat game, I watched it for like about 3 minutes, saw Lowry pumping about 4 threes, and I thought we're going to get absolutely ass raped.
And that's exactly what happened. Things didn't go very well. But at any rate, history so far really hasn't been very accurate. If we're looking at the Browns this year, we're losing the turnover battle, turnover war this year, but we're still winning.
It's an aberration, Moo. It's an aberration.
Yeah. No, it's an aberration, Moo. How many times do I have to use that word? I went hunting one time and I found a bearation.
A bear.
A bear nation.
Bear nation. It's a bear nation.
Yeah. Double P says we have 2 wins against the Broncos, the Jabril Peppers game with the game-winning sack and the Dearness Johnson game with Case Keenum. Well, all right.
It did happen. So.
All right. So
I would never second guess Double P anyway. So.
And something, Alpha Man, Iceman, the 35 yards rushing is something that, even though he's not a big guy and you don't want to put him in the situation too much, I think it's a good distraction, because the tendency with the Browns offense is to crowd things, within, 12 yards, 15 yards to the line of scrimmage and not do anything beyond that. Teams get locked in, and, you can end up staring at receivers who are literally blanketed. And if you could use your legs to take some pressure off that way, it's something that, if you want to watch somebody do it well, Lamar Jackson would be good.
Sure.
To fake taking off on a run, but staying behind the sticks, and then being on the
throwing
same
it, yeah.
page as Tay Flowers or whatever, and get that ball downfield. It could add another dimension to what DTR does, and
Well,
I
those
wouldn't be
plays that
surprised to see that.
Let me give Stefanski credit for something. Those plays where Njoku hangs back, does a bit of blocking, then kind of leaks out, and then the quarterback sort of rolls over to where Njoku is going to be. Those plays always seem to fucking work if Njoku can catch the ball. So those, some plays we do work on occasion.
Well, the trick on whether it's a screen pass or whether the play you're describing, which is a little bit faster to set up than a screen pass, is that your offensive linemen, if they're blocking, that they don't go too far downfield. And
correct, and get the illegal penalty for,
no, it's a legal penalty.
Yeah, the legal penalty. Illegal penalty, it's late here.
And I think the Browns have their head together as far as understanding this is a week by week by week thing. And it would be different if Deshaun Watson had gotten healthy and he was starting on a roll. Everyone could kind of sit back and say, we can expect this. The defense doesn't know what to expect from the offense at all. So they've got to go out and literally shut down every team we play. And, it's nice hearing Kareem Hunt saying we don't live in the past. We're worried about what's happening next. Taki saying we weren't listening to the outside noise and tuned on into what we had to do those weeks to execute our game plans. You can't read these headlines by Mary Kay Cabbagehead or any of it. You just got to play the best you can play, and that's all you can ask for. I was going to ask a question to the people in the chat room because I've been so focused on the Browns game and just analyzing this in my own head. What time is the Ohio State-Michigan game on?
Noon.
It's a noon game.
Noon on Fox. And it actually conflicts with a really important game for Ipswich Town, which I'm going to watch instead.
Well, look,
so if you can imagine that, I'll be watching English football at the same time. But the college games go on for 4 hours, so the other game I'll watch will be in between that 4 hours. It's hilarious.
Now, here's what other people are saying about what's going to happen in the Browns-Broncos game. And this is a good point. Again, if we can run the football successfully against the Broncos, it just takes the ball out of Russell Wilson's
Broncos
hands.
aren't going to win. Yeah.
Well, and it will force him to make a bigger play than maybe at 33 he's capable of making. And that's something that's important. He may be playing check down football, having a high percentage of completions, and it may be working out statistically that he's not throwing interceptions. But the bottom line is the more plays you run, the more you wear down the other team, and the game gets easier. So there's that. There are, the NFL.com, we'll start here, and I don't know why it's taking me to the wrong spot here. Here we go. All right. Isn't it amazing? Empower Field at Mile High, it's Mile High Stadium. Fuck that. I mean, I'm old, but Empower. I'm not going to give empower my dick. Here are the picks. Every single person on NFL.com picked the Broncos to win.
No way.
17-12, 23-16, 17-14, 18-13, and 19-17. Yep.
Even Cynthia Freeland, the computer geek hot babe.
Every one of the people on NFL.com who picked these games picked the Broncos to win. I'm just saying that this is, but that's not true across the board. Now at ESPN.com, here's where did we go here? I hate this when this doesn't line up the way it's supposed to line up. All right, here we go. Moody is picking the Browns 27-24. Walder is picking the Browns 19-16. The prediction is there's a 52.4% chance that Cleveland will win. It's a coin toss is what it amounts to.
Absolutely.
And so that's how ESPN sees it, with an edge to the Browns because of their team defense. Pete Prisco, he was jizzing over Dolly Parton, and I don't understand that.
I didn't watch either one of those halftimes, so I can't really say.
Nothing against Dolly Parton, but
she's got to be like 90 years old now.
Putting your grandma in a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit looks like, it's weird. Yeah, Dolly does Dallas. I don't want the thought to even creep into my mind. It's disturbing. Let's just put it that way. Let me see if I can find this.
I'll while you're looking, I'll make a pick, and I'm going to say the Browns win 26-13. And the reason why I'm giving it a big difference is because in Bajorquez and Hopkins, we're going to score on every drive. I don't think Denver's defense is good enough to keep us from scoring. So I reckon we get 2 touchdowns and 4 field goals. But our defense is good enough to stop Russell Wilson and the Broncos. So that's why I'm going for a 13-point win.
And Pete Prisco is saying the Browns 20-12. Rick May is saying the Browns 23-20. All of this, and PFT, which is of course Florio, and let's see, because none of this is really okay. Here we go. The best defense in the NFL should do enough to allow the offense to score enough points. Florio is picking the Browns 17-9, and Sims is picking the Browns 19-13. So
it could be very similar to that first Bengals game where we just ass raped Burrow and we scored enough points, and it was an ugly game and all that shit. So that's what I'm looking at.
And everybody's going to pick this game close, and I'm always worried about this because whenever I pick them to win, they lose. Whenever I pick them to lose, they win. So do understand that the real question mark in this game is if they don't score touchdowns, and I mean the Broncos, because that's been their modus operandi this year, is going to force a close game, and our defense is better than theirs. And that could mean one more chance with the ball, and we found out that DTR at least knows how to do that in a minute and 29 seconds to go in the game.
Well, he's getting his poise. I mean, I don't know what the crowd noise and all that stuff in Denver is going to be like for him, and it's an away game, obviously, but I think the weather is great for our defensive line and Myles Garrett in particular. They're not going to be it's not going to be too hot, not going to be too cold, too rainy, too snowy. The weather suits our defense.
And I'm going with the Browns 20-16 because I really want them to win. I really, I'm a homer in this regard. Nothing against the Broncos whatsoever, but the defense is really going to have to bring it, because what Russell Wilson will do is he will complete about 67% of third down passes, and he'll hold on to that ball. And it may not result in 7s, but it will result in 3s on that thin air. And that's going to force the Browns to keep up that way. Again, I always say this, and it never happens, but if the Browns would get off to a start where they would have a multiple touchdown lead, which hasn't ever been happening,
not for a long time,
that just changes everything. I mean, literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go back to the heyday of the Baker Mayfield era where we jumped out on Pittsburgh in the playoff game and the Titans in that one game. But, we ended up blowing all those leads anyway. So there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, David, knowing what happens in Seattle to us than watching what happened to Seattle. It's interesting. our defense must be great because Brock Purdy looked like Brock Purdy again, the
Yep,
early
he
Brock
did.
Purdy. And, who knows what's going on as far as adjustments based on what the Browns defense did. But Brock Purdy looked good. But there was huge separation in the secondary between the receivers and the defense. And it looked like Seattle's defensive backs just were confused and playing a zone and letting people run free through zones.
Yeah, it looked like Joe Woods back there.
And Purdy is a guy who's very, very accurate. And you play zones against him, and he'll find seams, and his receivers are good enough to hurt you. So there's that. So I guess that pretty well does what I do.
Does,
And
how's Topaz doing?
Topaz is doing well.
He's gotten better because I heard there was some mystery bug going around in America for doggies.
It's true. And the hound, he's right here, isn't, he was wheezing and flat out coughing and gagging for if they say it lasts for like 10 days, 2 weeks,
wow.
The heavy duty coughing, and him after about 3 days of the harsh cough, it started backing down into something I'll do my, but I mean, when they have it bad, the kennel cough, it's like retching. It's really kind of hard to watch. And, but he's now doing a whole lot better, and he's turned a corner on this. So, I was reading about the mystery illness in dogs, but that's creating a big
different thing.
Yeah, canine COVID, that's what they're kind of calling it. But what's happening with that is the dogs end up exceedingly lethargic, without energy, without appetite, lose weight. The one thing about Topaz, he had a typical case of kennel cough. His appetite was unaffected, and his energy level was brought down when he was coughing. He would try to get all excited, and then he'd start coughing. Now he's, jumping in front of the television screen and not going into a bunch of coughing fits. So, and that is another thing here. DeJuan Jones is back, and he's done a great job for us. So,
well, let's hear it for Bill Callahan. Nobody wants to talk about him in the media, do they? So,
yeah. And, I agree with David here that Deshaun Watson, as negative as people were about Deshaun Watson, what we're seeing in a rookie quarterback and the growing pains, it's difficult. But Watson would have figured this whole thing out, and all of the complaints and arguments about him would have been put to rest, except for the people who were doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think I've enumerated what the wrong reasons are on the program on many occasions.
Wow.
So
how's this Dolphins game going on? Because I haven't watched any of it today. I'm boycotting Black Friday.
That's a good question. Let's
that's important to us.
Miami's killing them 34-13. I mean, the Jets.
The Jets are the Jets. The Jets are the Jets. Can we say that?
Yeah, well, they're done. I mean, as an organization, they're done, and they're not going to get help from a 41-year-old guy. It's just not going to happen. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in to this edition of Moohead Radio. Hey, we're going to be back again at halftime and postgame, and hopefully we'll have good news to deliver at both of those shows, and hopefully the Browns will come out and play an important game strongly in a unfriendly surrounding. And I guess David's saying that the Jets threw a 99-yard pick six to close the first half. Only the Jets. And, it doesn't matter whether it's, I don't even know the name of the quarterback they put out there, for God's sakes. He's not
any Boyle or something.
Yeah, Boyle. it doesn't matter. They both do the same thing. It's awful. Just awful. So at any rate, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Go Buckeyes tomorrow. Go Buckeyes. That's important. Don't let the cheaters win. And second of all, Browns, let's give it a big, big shot on Sunday so that then we can relax a little bit the following week and do our practice and be in the driver's seat against the Rams. You never know. You might walk away from this, 9-3. That would be incredible if it happened.
Oh yeah,
but
I got a request since it's Thanksgiving.
Yes,
and all the big John Madden celebrations going on. You got to do John Madden for sign off, like a turducken or something.
I guess this is what it sounds like now.
I'm dead. Boom.
I won't be flying anywhere, and I won't even be going in an RV. It goes something like this. You take your terminal breath, and then you go down this way if you're in a bad situation, or you go up if you're in a better situation. And once you get there, it depends. If you go down there, you have to watch Steeler games. But up here, I can choose Brett Favre. I can make Brett Favre play again.
God bless you, John Madden.
Yeah, John Madden was one of a kind. All right, so thanks, everybody, and I'll see you again on Sunday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.
Bye.